Okay, so this is for the assignment create and assign it once. So as I've gone over previously, to create a variable, we use this keyword right here, var. That means we're going to allot a spot in RAM that pretty much says create a new box. We're going to name that box score, and we're going to have it hold inside of that box a big fat 0. So you only use var one time with your creation of your variable. So if you create a variable called score using the keyword var, you never ever want to use var again for that particular name. So you can name it several things. Like you could have one variable called score, another variable called lives, but you have to declare it. You have to create it with your keyword var. Other than that, you can reassign value, but you never reuse var, because that's all you're doing is creating. So for this particular instance, we want to create a variable called lives and assign it the value of 3 in one line. The point of being a computer programmer is to write as little code as possible and to be as lazy as possible. I know I've said this several times, but it really is true. We want to have as little code as possible. It makes the computer run more efficiently. So here in our variables, we got introduced to this. This declares a variable. That's it. Right? It says, hey, create a variable called, and in this case, I'm going to say lives. So if I were to create a variable called lives, it says create a variable called lives. Make a spot in RAM, and I'm going to reference it by calling it and giving it a name called lives. That's it. This assigns value. So now I'm going to say, hey, give lives the value of 3. So what it's going to do is it's going to see what's on the right side first and then assign it value to what we have here in name. Now, that's 2 lines of code. We have this right here, which can declare a new variable and give it a value at the same time. So if I were to take this and I call this lives, I assign it the value of 3, this is going to get rid of these 2 lines of code. Oh, I love Macs. I convince myself of this daily. So here we have a variable called lives with the value of 3. Now, as you see right here, we want to add a console.log statement that displays the value of lives just as we've done with our score before. So we want to create a variable called lives, assign it the value of 3 using the new one-line version of this command, so you can see this animation. Add a console.log statement to display the value of lives just as before. So you can see right here it says the value of score is 0, the value of lives is 3. Well, I'm going to recreate it just so you guys can feel comfortable. So I'm going to throw this over. We're going to give this a score with the value of 0. Industry standard, you always declare your variables at the very top of your program. I'm not going to be terribly strict on that, but just so you guys know that that is how in the real world we do it. So we say the value of score is, and remember what's in quotation marks tells the computer don't do anything. It's pretty much shut up and do what I tell you to do. You don't, it's, or Simon says, it won't do anything because you're giving it the quotes. So it's not going to compute math, it's not going to do anything. You're saying console.log this value, it's going to do exactly that. So if you take a look down here, it's going to literally say the value of score is. But we need to call upon our variable itself. So I'm going to grab another console.log, but now I want to call upon my variable called score. You never use quotation marks when you're calling upon a variable because, again, when you use quotation marks, you're telling the computer, I don't want you to do anything. Only do what I'm telling you to do with quotations. And it's going to quite literally do that. But if you take out the quotation marks, that means, hey, I want you to do something. In this case, we're going to go find where a score is in our RAM or in our memory and return back the value that's being held in there. In this current state, it should be 0. So if I hit reset, you can see it right here. The value of score is 0. Now I want to repeat this, so I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. You guys could do this if you want, because for me, I find the block programming takes a little bit longer. So I have the value of score is, and it's a repeat, but instead I'm just going to change this to say the value of lives is, and then I want to call upon my variable called lives. So if I hit reset and I hit run, it says the value of lives is 3. Now, of course, this is the code, and if you've paid attention, hopefully you've learned. This is going to be at the end of this.